Okay, it's recording. Hello and welcome. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I didn't think you were going.
No, I was making sure that it was recording first. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
All good. Okay. Hello and welcome. Today we are going to discuss fish and seafood within your grocery store. Okay, you can't click the arrows on your thingy. Oh my god.
Oh, that's annoying.
You just have to like tap the screen. Okay, anyways, now I'm gonna start. Hello and welcome. Today we are going to discuss fish and seafood within your grocery store. We are going to discuss the recommendations, areas of concerns, what to choose and why, tips to add it into your diet, and budget tips.
So first we'll be going over the recommendations, which is the serving sizes and amounts. So the first tip is choose healthy fats. So choosing healthy fats means to include fatty fish such as trout, salmon, herring, and mackerel. Canada's Food Guide recommends about 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsaturated fat per day. And the next one is Canada's Food Guide recommends a quarter plate of protein. Recommended sources in regards to fish include trout, salmon, scallops, sardines, and mackerel. Canada's Food Guide also recommends choosing canned, fresh, and frozen fish with the little to no added sodium, also to avoid breaded, battered, or deep fried. It also recommends to consume low mercury fish. So it's recommended to be mindful of consuming fish that may be high in mercury. Here are the best choices to eat about 2 to 3 servings per week. Anchovies, clam, crab, haddock, salmon, sardines, scallops, shrimp, and trout. Fish with low mercury are recommended to have 1 serving per week, and some examples include bluefish, carp, halibut, Spanish mackerel, and tuna. And some fish choices to avoid because they contain high amounts of mercury include king mackerel, marlin, and swordfish. So areas of concern, what to avoid when you're purchasing fish and seafood. So the first one is mercury. So mercury enters the water system through pulp and paper processing, mining operations, and burning of garbage and fossil fuels. Through this process, mercury enters the water and can turn into an organic mercury that binds to fish. So when people consume fish that are affected by this, they are also ingesting the organic mercury. The next one is PCBs and PBDEs. So PCBs and PBDEs are toxins that may accumulate in seafood and fish due to accidental releases, improper disposal practices, and pollution. The toxicity from PBDEs stays in the environment for a long period of time afterwards as well. Mild effects of PCB consumption may include numbness in the arms or legs, muscle spasms, chronic bronchitis, and more. Long-term exposures in an occupational setting may increase risk of liver and kidney cancer. PBDEs are low in fish and seafood, however, may pose minor risks similar to the effect of PCBs. The next one to be aware of is antibiotics. So fish farms use antibiotics to reduce the risk of bacterial pathogens harming the fish. When people consume too much fish and seafood that contain antibiotics, there's a risk that the individual over time may become antibiotic resistant. Canadian regulations require that antibiotics can only be used to fight disease and never stimulate growth. So the next one to be mindful of is food handling. So storage, preparation, cooling, and heating are all important factors when it comes to food safety. Some shellfish contain bacteria, viruses, and toxins that can cause foodborne illnesses. And some people who should avoid seafood and fish when necessary include children, pregnant women, seniors, and people with weakened immune systems. Next.
So now I'm just going to discuss what to choose when you're at the grocery store and why. So as Tamara mentioned, storage and handling is a concern. So ensure while you're buying fish, they do not have these things to make sure they're safe. So have a fishy or sour smell, foggy or blurry eyes, discoloration, broken or open packages. Ensure that shellfish have proper tags on them and are not previously opened. So while you're at the grocery store, there are many options for fish and seafood, but here's just 2 quick options. So the first one is salmon, which can be bought packaged, pre-cut, or stuffed, which could be stored in your freezer and simply put in the oven, or fresh, and whole and cut it yourself before you can cook it, or even there's canned salmon or smoked salmon that you can just eat as is. Another option is boxed frozen fish, which could be seen as the easiest to purchase because all you have to do to prepare it is read the instructions and you can keep it on in your freezer for as long as you'd like. So fish is seen to be full of many nutrients, especially omega-3. It is also seen as a good source of lean protein, meaning it is a good food choice for the Mediterranean diet, a diet that can aid diseases such as metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. It does this since it lowers your weight, blood pressure, and blood sugar, and improves lipid levels. As said, most fish, especially fatty fish, contains a great amount of omega-3, which can have great benefits such as increased HDL, improves insulin sensitivity, reduces blood clotting, helps reduce triglycerides, reduce inflammation throughout the body, and much more.
Alrighty, so now we are going to be discussing some tips to including fish and seafood into your diet. So while fish and other types of seafood are great sources of lean protein, they're also rich in many important nutrients such as omega-3 fatty acids. These nutrients play a crucial role in heart health as well as your immune and brain health. As recommended by Health Canada, adults should try to consume at least 2 servings of cooked fish each week, and Canada's food guide outlines that as 1 serving equals 75 grams. So here are a few easy tips to follow to up your seafood intake. So number 1, you could just go canned. Buying canned seafood gives you the convenience and flexibility, not to mention it's also budget friendly. Being able to store canned seafood such as tuna, salmon, and sardines offers a quick grab-and-go meal that's full of omega-3s. The next easy tip is just swapping proteins. So swapping out your meat in your favorite recipe and adding fish instead is a great way to add fish into your diet. Seafood tends to be lower in saturated fats than most meats and contains many key nutrients, which makes it a healthy yet still tasty alternative. So now moving on to some budgeting tips for including fish and seafood into your diet. One of the most useful budgeting tips when buying fish or seafood would be to try and purchase canned seafood when possible. Buying canned tuna, salmon, anchovies, and sardines are a great way to cut back on the cost while still reaping the benefits that fish and seafood provide. At Walmart Canada, 260 grams of fresh Atlantic salmon will cost you around $8.50, while canned cloverleaf salmon is 213 grams and only $3.70. So a great tip also when buying canned fish would be to look for water-packed tuna or salmon, as that will reduce the fat and sodium content. And so that is it for us. Thank you for listening, and thank you. Yeah, we can't really ask questions.
Yeah, I guess.